You're listening to Recovery Survey, the podcast that shatters stigmas around different types of addictions and takes a deep dive into spiritual principles.
I clean sewers and camera sewer lines. We work the manholes every day, and I ended up finding my best friend dead in the manhole. I don't know how or why or what. I didn't use.
My guest today is named Tony Redding. He is a co-host on the show One Podcast at a Time. Welcome to the show, Tony.
My name's Tony. I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm a co-host of another recovery podcast called One Podcast at a Time.
Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on.
My drug addiction started, I think, around 4th grade is when I started smoking weed. That was because, around me, the kids I hung out with, their older brothers smoked, so, we got introduced to it very young. And then, 5th grade, I tried alcohol. And then, I did that until high school, and then once I got in high school, that's when, I literally took off, cocaine, benzos, perks, alcohol. I was off the rail. It was, bad. Some people actually called me JT for Junkie Tony. And, I was perfectly okay with that. It's so sickening to, look back and, I thought that was okay. Yeah, and then actually I got clean my senior year in high school because I tried to overdose on benzos the summer before my senior year, and then I woke up the next morning and I was yeah, I need to change something, and actually cold turkeyed it, and then till I got into college, and that's when everything started back up again.
So once you were in college, what does that look like? How long were you using, and then how did you end up ultimately getting clean? Did you go to rehab? Did you do the cold turkey thing again? Meetings? What does that look like?
So, what I was in college for I don't know, maybe 2 months. And then I actually withdrew. And then once I'm going to community college, doing that thing, partying, doing my thing. I had friends that actually went to Temple University, and another group of friends that went to Westchester University, and I was either at one of their houses every single night. And then I met a girl, and I ended up getting her pregnant, and then I had my son. When my son was born, it was kind of kind of a dark time for me. Not because I was 21, but my son was born with a lot of issues, and that took a toll on my, just mentally. So that made my usage, and I was hiding it the whole time. No one really knew how bad it was. I don't understand how they didn't know, because I never had money. I'm $25,000 in debt with Wells Fargo because I ran credit cards up so much during my active addiction. It got to the point in 2016 when I actually I tried and killed myself again. It was a second suicide attempt. And then I went away for a week and a half to a psych ward. When I got out, I told everyone she made me do this. It was all her. She's a horrible person. But it was me just trying to manipulate everyone to think take the eyes away from me. I came to realize that now. She was awesome. She's a great mom. It was all my issues. But we broke up, and then I just went off the fucking rail. Out every single night, not sleeping for multiple nights because I ended up finding meth. I was in a dark, dark place. I just didn't give a fuck about anything. And it kills me to say this because, I love my son to death, but, at that moment, I didn't care. It was just me. when was I going to get high again? When was I going to drink? Like, my son would be having surgery, and I'm worrying about going to the bar afterwards, scoring or anything. And then, like, the night before surgeries, I'm at the bar until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I continue to drink until I have to go to the hospital. So it was like a very, very dark time for me. And then I actually decided to go to rehab March 23rd, 2019. So I'm coming up on like, in March 23rd, it'll be 2 years. St. Patty's Day was like my last hoorah. It was bad. And then I ended up in like a crack house in Philly. Towards the end, I started shooting meth. For some reason, I realized that, like, what the fuck am I doing? It's hard to explain. Like, I don't know what came over me, and it's, I don't know how to explain it, but like, a week later, I checked myself in the rehab, and I did a whole 35 days. It was my first treatment center for drugs and alcohol. I completed it, and then I got out. And then, I started doing one fellowship, and I just couldn't click with, like, the people in that fellowship, so I switched to a whole different fellowship. And then I found, like, a great group of guys that I surround myself with. We talk every single day. My meeting attendance isn't as good as I want it to be, but I'm starting to get back in the swing of things again. But, like, the real crazy thing is, like, this last year and a half, almost 2 years, has been, like, the worst year of my life. Like, hands down, the worst year. I was doing good. I was working. I went back to my old company, and then we were doing a job like I did. Like, I cleaned sewers and cambered sewer lines. We worked in manholes every day, and I ended up finding my best friend dead in the manhole. And I was like, March, like 4 months clean when this happened. And that literally, I don't know how or why or what. I didn't use. And that's like the most important thing in my recovery is like, if I went through that and I didn't use, that's like remarkable. Like, I'm so proud of myself how strong I stayed through like that tough time, and I'm still here to talk about how I pushed through that, and I'm still here.
That's gotta be tough, for sure.
It's rough, and I'm still dealing with stuff with that whole situation. It's because this kid that died, he actually was the one that helped me get clean my senior year in high school. And then, like, he died like a couple days after his birthday. He was supposed to get married in last October. Like, it was like all this stuff, and then all this stuff just keeps reminding me of that day. The one thing he would want me to do is stay clean, and I think truly that's why I'm still clean today, is because he's like looking over me.
I can't even imagine.
Even more stuff happened after that. Like, my son, he has like a lot of surgeries. He actually flatlined in one of his last surgery, like in front of me. And like that, I wanted to get high so bad. But instead of getting high, I called another person recovery. And just like that, like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Just like how people are there for you. Because when we were using, like, no one was there for us. It was just ourselves, and no one cared what happened to us. But, like, now that we have, like, a solid foundation, we have people in our life that are good, we can reach out to them, and they will always be there for us to help us get through whatever situation's in front of us.
I was talking about that earlier today, and just how important those relationships in the rooms are. I mean, I don't know about you, and I can only speak from my personal experience, but I never really felt like I fit in. I never felt like I was normal, or however you want to put it. I always felt kind of like an outcast or an alien or whatever, until I found the rooms and found other people that were like me and had been through similar struggles, and and understood some of those feelings. And man, there's just something that's so special about those connections that we make inside the rooms.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's wild how, like, doesn't matter what area you're in. Like, you could be in, like, Philadelphia, you can be in, like, Northeast Philly. I can even go to, like, Delaware, and there'll always be meetings, and, like, they're just there with their arms open, like, welcoming anyone in. And it's like, I don't, it's hard to, like, if someone that's never heard of the program asks me to explain what it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I think the best thing I could say is, like, it truly is a blessing and a lifesaver, and you just have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've had the same experience as you have. I've had the pleasure of getting to go to a few meetings that are in other states, and man, it doesn't matter where I go. When I'm in the rooms, it's like I'm with my family. Like, even if I've just met the people, like, we still have this bond. It's hard to, yeah, like you were saying, man, it's hard to describe what that's like and what it feels like.
And, like, rehab didn't prepare me for it. They always talked about, like, doing a 12-step felt like I didn't know what to expect until I actually experienced it. Like, they didn't really, like, prepare me for it. But I'm glad that I am where I am, and I met the people that I met, because, like, it's hard to explain. If I feel like I'm repetitive, but it's just, like, a great feeling to be where I am at today. And then it's funny. I listened to your podcast, and I just finished the episode about the yoga. I actually love yoga and meditation, and it was funny how you were talking about how you didn't know how to meditate. It cracked me up. But like, even, like, I'm big in hiking, and if I just, like, 10 minutes, if I just walk around the block, no music, I just take in all the sounds, I consider that a meditation. That helps me get through my day, and it helps me, like, clean my mind and just, like, get on the right track.
I think there's something to be said for taking care of our mental health as well. You know, we have to set aside time for the meditation or the quiet time or whatever we want to call it, and just exercise our mind.
Yes.
I think it's definitely a big part of recovery.
Or even, like, if you go see a therapist, like, people think, like that's weak or something. I'm in intensive therapy right now. I go 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day. And I say that proudly, because not too many people can say they can do that. And they hide deep down, like, their feelings, and they don't know how to express it, or they think it's weak. But, like, I've realized that I need this, and this is life or death, and I'm open to any suggestions, and it's been working for me.
That's awesome, man. And I think that kind of speaks to a booklet that we have in one of our fellowships, talked about in time of illness, and it alludes to that not everything can be solved through the 12 steps, that there's some things that are outside issues, and that we need to seek doctors and counselors and people that are experts in those areas for things that are outside issues. So I think it's really important that we do those things, and I'm glad that you're getting that help and you're not afraid to share that.
Yeah, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It truly is nothing to be ashamed of. And I know people that are embarrassed to admit they have issues, but and I talk to them, they open up to me a little bit, but, like, once you find that therapist that you truly connect with and you feel comfortable, you get so far in life, and just with your mental health. It's just such a good thing.
Absolutely, man. It's definitely a very crucial part of our recovery.
Agreed.
So what kind of advice would you give for someone in recovery that may be in a similar situation to you, that is dealing with loss of a loved one or a friend or something like that, what would you tell them to stay clean and how to get through that?
Well, just being in recovery, you lose a lot of people. It's a horrible statistic, but it's like it's reality that you lose people during this process. But just stay on the right path, get the help you need, reach out to the people that truly love you, and you can just get through this. And once we like start wrapping it up, I want to put out like my Instagram handle, like everything, because I'm always available. Even if I don't know you, I'm always available. You can reach out to me or anything, because I will always answer and help another addict or alcoholic in need. Mental health is huge. I would suggest getting a sponsor. I don't have a sponsor right now, which I'm slacking on, but I do have people in my life, like I've been talking. Home group, like all these different things are very important in your recovery. Even just like reading literature. Something so small as that will help you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Maybe you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about the podcast that you're on in case they're unfamiliar with it.
All right. The podcast I'm on is called One Podcast at a Time. We're just like Recovery Survey. We talk about all sorts of addictions. We have sex addicts, gamblers. It's just like this podcast, it's like similar, but it's different because there's actually 4 of us, and we're like all idiots, pretty much. And all it is just us making fun of each other. But you do get a lot of knowledge from us. We're up to releasing an episode every other week. But yeah, it's just you always have to support each other, especially like COVID. I know a lot of people looked for these podcasts for when like COVID was going on in quarantine because meetings weren't available in person, so they looked for other resources.
I can't speak highly enough about y'all's podcast. I love it. It's hard to explain. Like you were saying, it's different. I love the banter between you guys, and
yeah,
I mean it's great. It's like hanging out after a meeting. Like it's great, man.
Yeah, and it's like used to be 3 guys, but now we have a girl with us, and she just like is perfect. She like just fits in so well with us. It's very funny, and it's going to get like the episode I think we're releasing. It's actually tuna, 10 years, which is huge. Getting a 10-piece, but it's like it's kind of like a roast of tuna, which is tuna is just funny to begin with, so it's very comical.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, for sure. I think Chrissy is a great addition to your show.
Yes, she's awesome. Well, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but Brett is my twin. It's kind of funny. We kind of look like each other. We're just in 2 different parts of the country. Oh, I have a quick story, which is like kind of crazy. During my active addiction, my son was sleeping over, and I would usually take drugs to like fall asleep, and for some reason I didn't one night, and I woke up in the middle of an episode and he stopped breathing, and I was able to like rush him to the hospital, and I consider that like a sign from my higher power, and I was able to pretty much be there for him and pretty much save his life, and like right there, because I always have a trouble with my higher power and talking to him, finding him. Right there, that gives me a little bit of hope that there is a higher power, and he's there looking over me in every step I make.
Yeah, for sure, man. Kind of going back to the doppelganger thing you were talking about. I was Facebook creeping on you before the episode, and I was going through a couple of your pictures, and I was like, oh man, I have that hat, I have those shoes.
And it's like, if you looked at my group of friends, we are all opposite, which is like the great thing about this. Like, you see me, I'm wearing like tight jeans, Doc Martens, wearing all black, and then my friend will be wearing like Supreme, like Hype Beast, like all this other stuff, and we just get along because we can just relate to each other. It doesn't matter what music we listen to, or it just like we all can relate with each other with just being in a program with each other, and we all support each other with everything we do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, one of the guys that I'm closest to in my home group is 64. In a normal situation, I probably would have never talked to the guy, would have never got to know him. And, we talk a couple times a week outside of meetings and hang out outside of meetings, and it's hard to explain, but like you said, it doesn't matter what we look like, doesn't matter what we dress like there's a deeper connection there.
Yeah. If you had to pick, what's your favorite part of a meeting? If you had to pick one.
I mean, I love the hugs. We're not really doing those right now.
I know. And people like think like hugs, like what are you guys doing in there? Like, is it like a cult? But it's like there's nothing better than getting that hug when you get your like key tag or your whatever. It's just the best feeling ever. But I love after meetings, because especially if you like share and you're going through like deep shit, they're like overwhelmed of support that comes up to you.
For sure, man. For sure.
I'm sorry if you hear my dog. He's very loud.
No worries, man.
And it's like, I don't. It just, I'm trying to like talk about like things like. Lately, I've been thinking about like gratitude, which gratitude is a huge part of recovery. Like downstairs right now at my house, my son's down there, and I'm able to have him every weekend. It's just little things like that. Like today, I drove 2 hours to the beach just so me and my son can see the beach, and I drove all the way home. And I wouldn't trade that for a day getting high any day. Like, that meant so much to me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because before I got clean, I didn't think that I would enjoy those kind of things. And now that I'm not using, like, some of those things that are so simple and that I thought would be boring or so meaningful.
Yeah, like, I just hang out with my parents. Just, like, being in their presence. Like, my friends would be like, oh, do you want to, like, go bowling or do this, do that? I'm like, I kind of just want to hang out with my mom and dad and watch TV.
Same, man.
It's like little things like that. Like I despised doing that before. And now I just like cherish every moment. I seriously think if I wasn't in recovery this past year, I wouldn't be here right now. Without a doubt, I would not be here right now.
Well, man, do you have any closing thoughts?
Like I said, my Instagram handle is Tony Meets World, like Tony _ meets _ world. You can always reach me there, or Facebook. My name's Anthony Redding. My picture, I have Crocs on. I love my Crocs. And check out our podcast if you haven't. It's one podcast at a time. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean. Just check us out, and we're always open. If you guys want to hear something, reach out to us. Like you said like you would love like what was it, internet gaming?
Yeah, like technology addiction.
Which is crazy. We were just talking about that in therapy, like technology addiction and how big it is right now. And we're currently trying to find someone that's addicted to technology. So if you're listening to this, reach out and you're addicted. We would love to have you on the show. If you're going through a tough time, just stay here. Just raise your hand, talk about it, reach out to another addict. We're all here for each other.
Really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing part of your story with us and letting us know how you got through those times without having to use, and sharing some of that experience, strength, and hope, man. It's a big deal.
Yes. Thank you for having me on.
Tony, thank you so much for being on the show today. As always, links for his social media as well as his podcast will be in the show notes. You've been listening to Recovery Survey. If you got anything out of today's episode, I'd ask you to please leave us a 5-star review and share this episode with a friend. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can find us at recoverysurvey.com. You can listen to all of our episodes on the website as well as connect with us on social media, where you can get previews for upcoming episodes.